Well, welcome back to the Confidence Igniter podcast, the podcast that was designed to take you from basic to brilliant. And I am your host. My name is Tamyko Green. Well, I am excited about today's show, and I hope that you are too. The show is titled Trust the Process. Think about this. About if a farmer went out to plant a garden. He put the seeds in the ground. He covered them with dirt. And then he went back into the house. And he thought to himself, I don't know if them seeds gonna come up or not. I don't know if this gonna work. So he goes to bed, and the next morning he gets up, he runs out, and he looks, and he's like, I don't see nothing. I don't know. I'm gonna give it one more day. Don't nothing happen. I'm going to have to pull everything up. So he goes back out and he goes to sleep, goes back out the next day, and then he looks and nothing. So he decides to dig up the seeds because he didn't trust the process. He didn't trust that it will grow a crop. And a lot of times that is what we do. Not that a farmer would actually do that, because a farmer understands there is a process that you have to go through. And especially if you're looking to get crops. And so when we decide to plant a dream or a goal or a vision, whatever it is that you're planting, and maybe it's none of that, perhaps you just entered into a new relationship. But the fact is, you have to trust the process. You have to give it time to develop. If you're planting, if you're working on your goals and your dreams, you have to give it an opportunity to develop, to mature, to grow. But a lot of times I know when you're working on things, or whether it's a new relationship, whether it's just a goal that you're working on, when you first start that goal, or when it first comes to your mind, you're like, man, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and this is the way it's going to come out. Is everything going to work out right? Well, and it's good that you look at it from that perspective, but then there's that small part that a lot of times we forget, and that's the part where it's going to be some challenges. It's going to be some things that we did not consider that we may encounter. And so when we encounter these things, instead of saying, I had it wrong, maybe I should have did something different. Perhaps, it really wasn't what I thought it's going to be. And then we back out. We talk ourselves out of things that we should be talking ourselves into. Life is filled with challenges. And it doesn't matter if it's a relationship that you just entered into, that's filled with challenges. If it's a dream, a goal, or just your everyday getting up and taking care of yourself, or if you have children, taking care of them, it's always something, a challenge that you may experience. But because you experience these things, they're not there to get for you to convince yourself that you need to stop. It's growing. It grows you. It's kind of like a baby in the womb. It starts to grow and it starts to stretch. As an expected mother, your stomach starts to stretch. And so that's because the baby is stretching. And so when you're working on your goals and dreams, that's the baby in you. When you just enter into a relationship, it's in a infancy state. It's a baby. And so you have to nurture it. You have to, keep watering it with great things, speaking good things over it, because there will be those moments where, it's not all peaches and cream. Sometimes it's sour lemons with no sugar and no water to make good lemonade. And in those moments, you got to be able to look beyond that and say, this too shall pass. I know in my own life, there were times that I was truly challenged, truly challenged. I remember when I was considering to start a limousine service. Yes, I know that's probably like, you used to own a limousine service? Honey, let me tell you, it ain't nothing like a woman stepping out of a limousine. And I ain't talking about a little sedan. I'm talking about a real limousine, okay? Dressed in a double-breasted suit. No, I didn't wear the black pants and the black, blouse. No, no, no. I was dressed from head to toe, okay? So let me tell you, when I remember I first started out, I didn't know where I was going to get no customers from. And just the mere factor of owning this limousine service, okay? Like, man, I had my thoughts like, I'm going to be picking up this one, I'm going to be picking up that one. But here's the thing. It's this thing that I would always say when people would say, hey, what was the last celebrity that you picked up? Listen, I don't know about the last celebrity. Let me think. Then I would give them my business card and I'll say, well, as soon as you call me and I pick you up, you will probably be the next or the last, not necessarily the last, but the next one that I pick up. Because I treated everybody as they were all celebrities, because I would always say, I don't know what's in your bank account. Okay, if you could pay to ride in the car, look, you a celebrity. Okay, you paid, hey, that's good. But even then, through all of the fun, having fun with it and building a business, there was some challenging moments. Okay, very challenging moments. Even before I even got in business, just trying to find a car was a challenge because I had a budget and I didn't want to go beyond that budget. So I had to really look. And that was a good moment. I could have talked myself out of it. I could have said, forget it. I ain't gonna find no car. Not with what I want to pay. Okay, I ain't gonna be able to find no car. But I didn't. I was determined. And so I stuck to it. And then even after I got the car, I could have said, man, how am I gonna get these? So, for me, I was creative. I went driving down different blocks, taking down people's addresses. And then I went and got me a book of stamps. I put together a really nice flyer, but I wanted them to open the flyer. I didn't want them to throw it away like junk mail and say, this ain't nothing but junk mail. No, because I had to pay for the stamp, so it wasn't nothing junk about that. So what did I do? Well, let me tell you. I put together my nice little flyer and I went and got me some stickers. Yes, I'm a kid at heart. I went and got me some stickers of chocolate cake, champagne glasses, all the kind of stuff that adults like to do, right? And I put those little stickers on there. Let me tell you, I got so many calls because people said, I knew this was like junk mail, but it was so pretty with the chocolate cake and the champagne glasses. You know what? I would like to book a ride with you. So because I was creative, I end up getting customers. But even then, that wasn't the only way. There were other things I tried and some things didn't work. And so I had to go back to the drawing board. But the thing is, throughout that time, could have just bailed out on myself because it still was a challenge. Yes, there were some good times. There were some times that money was flowing like Niagara Falls. Okay. So I don't know if you've ever been to Niagara Falls, but money was flowing like the water in Niagara Falls. But then there were times that, hey, it was trickling out like a faucet that was broke. So, but I refused to give up. I refused to give up. I knew that there was a process. And even though I met other people in the business, I could have looked at them and been like, man, I need to be doing like them. I need to be making it like them. I need to have all of these clients. I had to take in consideration they had been in business longer than me. And even though that did not mean anything, it did. But to think that, okay, it would happen just like that, it could have. But on the other side, if it didn't, I still need to trust the process because the process will pay off. And that's the thing that many times we don't believe it. Something tells us that it won't happen. And my question to you is when you're working on something, whether it's a goal, a dream, a relationship, a new job, whatever it is that you're working on, why tell yourself in those challenging moments it won't work if that's what you're saying to yourself? Now, everybody doesn't do that. Some people understand that it is a process. Some people understand that when you're climbing a mountain, look, it's going to be rough sometimes. And the higher you go, when you start out at the bottom of the mountain, you know what? That's an easy climb. But as you continue to go higher and higher and higher and higher, that becomes tough. And especially if you've never climbed a mountain before, let me tell you, you will be out of breath probably before midway unless you are in good shape. If you're not, well, guess what? You're going to have to trust the process. And sometimes trusting the process is just waiting. It's just sitting. It's just sitting to see, to let whatever you do marinate, to let whatever seed that you planted. Sometimes it's just waiting to allow the seed to do what it do. And you cannot intervene. See, sometimes we think we got to keep going. You got to do this. You got to do that. You got to do this. It's only so much season you can put on chicken. And if you don't like chicken, so much season you can put on steak or fish. Okay. Because if you keep pouring it on, right, eventually you ruin it. And that's the same way when you're working on something. Sometimes you got to stop. You got to just trust it. You got to trust that it will do what it do. Once you done all that you could do, don't overdo. Trust it and trust yourself. See, that's the thing. You got to trust yourself, believe in yourself. Believe that heaven is walking with you. Because when you believe that heaven is walking with you, let me tell you something, you become unstoppable. I'm going to say that again. Believe that heaven is walking with you. Now, I hope you caught that. Because let me tell you something, when you believe that heaven is walking with you, then it changed the whole dynamics of how you think. Because then you start to think, I'm on a mission from heaven. Okay. And for those of you that believe in God like me, you're on a mission from God. If you said that, if you just try saying that, I'm on a mission from God. There's no way you could say you're on a mission from God and then don't have the confidence, the courage, the boldness to do what it is that you do. Don't have the ability to sit still and wait, because the good book says that they that wait, and you can finish that. It's found in Isaiah, just in case you want to know. But they that wait. Okay. And sometimes you got to wait in the process, because when you don't, you mess it up. It's kind of like putting mixing up a cake, and then you put the cake in the oven to bake it, and then you decide that, oh, you know what, I don't know, it might not work. I don't know if it's gonna bake right. And then you go and open the oven and decide to take it out, and now you got is half cooked batter. You can't do nothing with that. Well, I don't know. We have a lot of creative ways of doing stuff, so maybe you can make it into a milkshake. I don't know. It's batter, okay? I guess you could drink it, okay? But all I'm saying is you got to trust. You got to trust the process. You got to trust yourself. And not only that, know that because everything has a process. When you look at the things that you have accomplished prior, how did it happen? And I know we live in a world where everything is clicks and likes and look at me and look at this. You know what? Let me tell you something, though. They still develop film in the dark. So sometimes you got to develop in the dark. Yes. Because all the clicks and the look at me and the likes, and I know it probably feel good and all of that good stuff. But let me tell you something. Sometimes you just got to develop in the dark, and don't worry about all of that, because it will happen. It will definitely happen. If you determine, you set your mind to it. See, don't give up on your goal and your dreams, because then you're giving up on yourself. Because your goals, your dreams belong to you. Yes, I'm going to say that again. Your goals and your dreams belong to you. So when you fail to trust the process and you throw in the towel, who did you throw in the towel on? You. And if you believe you're on a mission from God and all of the forces of the universe and heaven is standing with you, well, you threw in the towel. Who did you throw in the towel on? Come on now. Look, I know it may seem like a challenge sometime when we're doing what we're doing or, working on something. Let me tell you, my mother used to always say, if it's easy, you ain't doing it right. Okay. If it's too easy, you ain't doing it right. You missing a step. Okay. Because guess what? That's how you grow. You grow by stepping out the comfort zone. So if it's easy, that's because you're sitting in the comfort zone. Okay. If it's easy, you're in that comfort zone. And I'm not saying that everything in life has to be hard. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that in a growing process, when you're growing, there's some stretching, and stretching doesn't always feel good. But when you trust the process, you know that through the stretch, you're going to be okay. Through the stretch, you're going to come out even greater on that other side. Through the stretch, you'll be able to climb the mountain. Through the stretch, you will be able to, if it's a book you're working on, you'll be able to write the book. Okay. Through the stretch, if it's a relationship, you'll be able to develop that relationship into something great. And because it's a relationship, that let me know it's two in it. Now, it may not be a love relationship, it could be a business relationship. That's okay. Whatever it is, it's still a process of learning and growing and knowing that it may not always go the way you want it to go. But it's okay because you're trusting the process. You're not reinventing it. Because here's the thing, there's a process for everything we do. There's a process for going to bed, right? No matter where you are, you ain't going to bed standing up. So somebody can say, no, that's not true. It's not a process from going to, yes, it is. I don't know nobody that can sleep standing up. You got to sit down or lay down, because if you try sleeping standing up, what do you think the body gonna do? You gonna fall down anyway. So you might as well just go ahead and fall down, or shall I say lay down or sit down, because you cannot sleep standing up. It just doesn't happen that way. And there are many things, everything has a process, everything, and so when you think about that, and you think about where you are in your life and what you're working on, just know it's a process. I knew that there was a process when I made certain choices in my life. When I being a single mom, having kids, guess what? Sometimes it was hard to find a job. I just face it. It was hard for me to find a job. So you know what? I was always big on creating something. I told you I had a limousine service, but before I had a limousine service, I had a cleaning service. Okay, I was cleaning houses. And let me tell you, I was really cleaning them. I cleaned them so good. My clients hated it when I got out of the business. But I knew that process was going to take me to the next level. It will take me from where I'm at to where I wanted to go. And so even if you're wondering about the limousine service, do I still have it? No. I traded the limousine service into another process. Okay. And you can look at processes as your highway. So if you live in perhaps, I don't know, the state of Illinois, I think they got a 290, a 94. So maybe your process started out on I-94, and then you went from 94 to perhaps 290. Okay, but what does that process? What is that thing? If it's your goal that you're working on, maybe you can label it a street, because maybe that end result for that particular goal, maybe if you are in the state of Illinois, maybe you want to you take that goal all the way out to the state of Wisconsin. And so what roads are you got to take? And always keep in mind, those are cold states. So you might hit some cold weather, right? And that might be a challenge. But do you stop? No, you may slow down. And sometimes when we're working on things, once again, remember I told you, sometimes you got to wait. Sometimes you got to sit still. Sometimes you don't sit still, but you slow down. Okay. And never being afraid to develop in the dark, because you can't tell everybody what you're doing. Because everybody don't need to know. And as much as you may think that some people are for you, guess what? The same people that are for you could be against you, but you don't know. But you don't need to tell everybody everything. My mother used to say one thing about it: you don't tell everybody everything, because guess what? Eventually, when you get finished working on it, it's going to show up anyway. You can't hide certain things. And because you can't hide them, they'll show up. And plus, it gives you an opportunity to work on it without people interference of telling you, well, I don't know if that's going to work. You sure you don't want to go right versus left? You sure you don't want to, because here's the thing. When you trust the process, God, the universe, however you call the higher entity, will show you the way, will lead you and guide you. So it's not like you're like, oh, man, I don't know which way to go. See, every time I made a different move in my life, I was shown it wasn't what going on my own. No, it was a calling to pull me here, to say, hey, my child, your destiny is on this road. So I need to pull you over here. I need to shape you this way. I need you to shift. I need you to pivot. And that's the thing, in trusting the process and working on your goals. You got to be flexible in your thinking. You can't just think, well, you know what? If it doesn't happen this way, it's not going to happen. You got to be an out of the box thinker. And I know you know what an out of the box thinker. If you don't know what an out of box thinker is, well, let me tell you what out the box means. You know how you go to Best Buy and they have these sales on a TV that says, well, you can get it for $259 if you buy it out the box. Because this was the display TV. We don't know where we put the box anyway, but we'll give you a discount just because it's out the box. And sometimes you got to sometimes you got to look at the bigger picture. See, and I had to remind myself of that when I joined the military. See, when I went to the military, when I was thinking one way, but now that I'm not in the military, I can see the difference of what it really did for me and how it really prepared me for other things in life. And here's the thing, when you're going through life, if you see everything in your box, trust me, you're blinding yourself with your box, with the stuff in your box. You need a clear view. In order to trust the process, you got to have a clear view. So you have to train yourself how to look outside that box and see life as that has more opportunities, more space to grow. Because inside of a box, the process may look like it came to a halt, but that's not true. Because outside of that box, it is so much more. And if I could leave you with anything, I'll say pay attention to what you're doing and how you're thinking. Examine yourself. If you're working on a goal, or even if you haven't started working on the goal, but it's something that you desire to do, trust yourself and trust that the process will work. Trust yourself and trust that the process will work, because you didn't get where you are today, wherever you are in life. You didn't get there by not trusting. You had to trust in order to get to where you are. So think about that. So take one thing that you wanted to do and just start writing. Write what it looks like. How you can start to do whatever it is. And the first thing you do is just write it down. And if you can't even see like how it's going to happen, just write down how would you feel, or how you would feel when it does happen, because that in itself may bring some joy to you. And then tell yourself you're on a mission from God. I tell you, you start feeling good. You be like, man, I'm on a mission from God. My goodness, I got all of the forces of heaven standing on my side. Come on now, if that don't build your confidence, come on now. I don't know what will. But, well, I'm at the end of the show. I really hope you enjoyed it. I truly hope that you will trust the process, and I have to finish the process, right? Because before you go, I truly hope that you'll take the time out to like, to share, and even to subscribe to the videos. Also, I hope I get the opportunity to see some of you out on July 12th from 10 to. We're doing a business mastermind. I think you'll enjoy it. It is on a Saturday. Like I said, it's from 10 in the morning to 2, and the location is 2477 Canton Road in Marietta, Georgia. That's 2477 Canton Road. It was going to be held at Fortified City Christian Church. Also, and speaking of Fortified City Christian Church, they offer exercises classes Mondays, Wednesdays, and Friday. And so on Mondays and Wednesdays, it's at 6 to 7 p.m. and on Wednesdays it starts at 5:30 to 6:30. And also they have every third Saturday they have a food distribution. So if you are in need of food, please come out. 2477 Canton Road, and that's every third Saturday from 10 to 12. Hopefully you enjoyed everything. Hopefully you enjoyed trusting the process. Trust the process. And hopefully I get the opportunity to see you all. And if not, please, continue to tune in, and I'll continue to tune in as well. I hope you have a wonderful day. Until we meet again, see you later. Bye bye.